Alright, what is up? This is SLOplays, and I am back and again with another Dragon Ball Sparking Zero Super Limit Breaking Neo video, guys. This is the one I was talking about in the last video. In the previous episode, we discussed the possibility of GT Goten maybe coming, okay? Very low chance, honestly, but at the same time, I think that it is a reasonable choice just because we're getting a GT Vegeta as well as a GT Trunks, okay? You gotta have the other half counterpart to Trunks, right? And it's gotta be GT Goten. And the reason I think GT Goten has a better chance than GT Gohan is because GT Goten actually had way more material, in my opinion, from what I remember. I don't remember Gohan. I mean, Gohan has, you know, decent material in, you know, the anime and stuff too, but I feel like GT Goten just stood out more, okay, in my opinion. But, you know, you can disagree with me. I made a whole ass moveset for this character and how it would work, right? Sparking Zero is pretty cool because they can add literally any character to be playable, right? They're adding Chi-Lai. Chi-Lai does not fight in the movie, okay? She's in 2 movies, but the only material that we really have is DBS Broly, right? And she doesn't really do much, okay? And they're adding her as a whole ass playable character in this game. Same thing with Pansy. Pansy, I would argue, has a little bit more material to where there would be some type of, you know, fighting involved. But, I mean, at the same time, a lot of these characters don't really have combat within the anime. And GT Goten, he does fight, right? He does fight. He does have stuff and use techniques, right? And a lot of material in GT that he does, right? So that's why I was able to compile this together. And even though this took a while for me to make, it was very easy for me to figure out what his attacks would be, right? And there's things that could still change, right? That could be different, right? I wasn't just like scraping the bottom of the barrel. No, he's got enough material that would actually work. Now, keep in mind, a lot of his moves are going to be pretty generic, as a lot of Sparking Zero and Tenkaichi characters are. You're going to be seeing stuff like Full Power Energy Wave and High Speed Rush and Full Power Consecutive Energy Blast or whatever. And obviously Super Kamehameha is kind of his main technique, right? Goten in general, he never really had anything unique to him. Like, for example, Gohan, he's got the Masenko, or Special Beam Beast Cannon for Beast Gohan or whatever, right? But even Gohan doesn't really have too much, you know, crazy ass material that, you know, is something specific to him, because a lot of his moves are influenced by other characters like Goku and Piccolo. So the same thing would probably go for GT Goten as well, or just Goten in general. We have a normal Goten in the game, and he really doesn't have anything crazy unique, but they did try to make him unique by giving him like a rock throw move, right, that he does to Gohan. And of course, they did something cool, and characters that don't really have that much material, they generally will add in another character to do a dual ultimate blast to make it feel unique. That's why with Super Saiyan Goten, you see that Trunks comes in and does like a duo Kamehameha, right? And same thing with Gohan. He's got, you know, Bros Kamehameha and stuff, right? So that's going to be a similar case for this version of Goten as well. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Enough of my yapping. Massive shoutouts to Shinai for actually making these character renders. They look really, really cool. So I'm going to be going over, first and foremost, his Blast 1 skills, and then we'll move over to Blast 2 skills, okay? So let's obviously, you know, go over the fact that he can go Super Saiyan. So if they did add a GT Goten, it would have to be base and Super Saiyan, right? Because, I mean, that's all he really has, so I don't think it's too unreasonable to do that. So primary, I would just give him an after image. It's a simple move that most, you know, like Goten and Gohans, I guess, would have. I mean, mainly like Gohan, right? And because this is an adult version of Goten, he's probably going to be very similar to Gohan in a sense. So that is a dodge base. It costs 2. I mean, he dodges in the anime primarily. I mean, I use the image where he dodges the attacks from the goons or whatever, the baby goons, right before he actually fights baby. So that's a pretty, you know, cool technique in a way. So yeah, it would work, right? It's a very general thing that most characters have. Secondary, a full power charge, I think is fine. Give you full ki and give you a defense boost, right? That would take 2 blast skill counts or whatever, or just skill counts in general. So yeah, pretty generic stuff there. Moving on to blast 2 attacks. Of course, it's going to be a pretty generic thing, right? For his primary, probably just be a basic energy wave. They'd rename it something else that would make it sound cooler, like, oh, explosive blast or some shit like that, right? It's just a beam attack. All right, Goten, he does beam attacks several times in GT, right? One-handed beam. They could get creative with it. you know, if they want to change up the name, they could change it to not be an energy wave beam, right? It could be a consecutive energy blast that he does several times, right? Every fucking character in the anime that can use ki will do one of these techniques, okay? Secondary, we'll do a high-speed rush, okay? I feel like a high-speed rush is pretty general, it's pretty simple, but his high-speed rush, they could rename it, and they could give him a unique animation that was specifically from the anime. And when I say unique animation, I mean just directly from his specific animation that he does to characters in the anime when he's fighting, right? They can use that, okay? Like, just copy and mimic that exact animation that they had in Dragon Ball GT, okay? And I know it's a generic high-speed rush, but Sparking Zero can do that, okay? Dragon Ball Legends is really good about that, and that's why I'm surprised that we don't have a GT Goten yet, because he would probably be the best in a game like Dragon Ball Legends, because they have so many of the same attacks and stuff. But you'll notice when you watch it and they actually, you know, do the technique itself, you'll be like, wow, I remember that from the anime. Like, that was a specific exact animation that he did. For example, High Speed Rush could be his dodge that he does to the goons, and then he does like an elbow and a knee to those guys, okay? So he'd do something like that. He could do the one where he dashes into, what was it, Baby, when he's fighting Baby for the first time, and he just fucking just downward smacks the shit out of him after Baby's like, bro, this guy, he's kind of like, he's kind of shit. Like, this guy, he ain't even doing anything to me. And then Goten immediately pummels his ass into the ground. He's like, bro, that was embarrassing. You should back up your fucking mouth, bro. Like, the shit talk was great from Goten, right? Very minor, but it was there. Okay, moving on. His ultimate, Super Kamehameha, the exact one he does to Baby before fucking it up and getting like a parasitic, you know, not absorption. What do they call it? There's a term for it. Yeah, you know, he goes inside of Goten's like injury, his cut on his arm, and he kind of possesses him, right? That's a good term that we can use for it. So yeah, an ultimate Super Kamehameha, simple, right? I know people will be like, oh, well, that's kind of ass. That, you know, it's fucking Goten. Like, I don't know what people are expecting, right? Especially from the base version, he's gonna be pretty generic. And again, they can always get creative with it and make him cool. Like, this right here is satisfactory for me. Okay, I just want him playable in general. So it's like, okay, just give him the basic techniques for his base, and that's fine. Now when we move over to Super Saiyan Goten, it gets a little bit fancier, it gets a little bit more specific. So let's go ahead and get it. As you can see, shout out to Shinai, made this render of GT Gohan. I think GT Gohan would work better as a costume, right? But I mean, it's whatever. If they want to make him a separate slot character, I really don't care. I'll take it. Like, I'm always down for more Goten and Gohans, right? More Saiyan characters. And people, oh, well, you said you didn't want the peel-off machine, because the peel-off machine fucking blows, bro. Peel-off machine's boring. All right, this is way cooler to me. Even if they have the same techniques, it's like they're playable, and Saiyans are awesome, so I don't care, right? I'm a Saiyan meathead. All right, so let's move over to Super Saiyan Goten, because he will have a dual ultimate attack with Gohan, okay? And I say that as if, like, this character's coming, right? I don't give a fuck. Like, he would... if they didn't give him something like this, that would make no sense, because how does GT Trunks have all these cool, fancy techniques where, you know, GT Vegeta comes in for his, like, ultimate as a Super Saiyan, and then we have the one where it's, like, the GT intro with Pan and Goku, Kid Goku, GT Goku coming in, like, that's fucking awesome, bro. That is sick. So, again, primary and secondary, I think is fine as pretty much the same stuff. For his primary, instead, we'll replace the afterimage with Explosive Wave, which he actually does versus Gohan, okay? If you remember from the anime, when he is fighting Gohan, he goes, you know, show me what a true Saiyan is made of. Something like that. He says some bullshit like that, right? And then he goes, oh, and he charges up, and he's like, they're in like a valley kind of thing, and there are these two giant, like, you know, rock formation mountain cliffs, you know, on both sides of him. And his explosive wave, right, is so crazy that it actually moves the fucking rock formations, right? If you guys remember, right? I remember that shit so vividly. Like, it's such a cool fight. That's one of my favorite fights in Dragon Ball is GT Goten versus GT Gohan. It's short, but it's cool to see them they're not sparring. Like, they're like trying to beat the shit out of each other. I mean, maybe not Gohan, but Goten is really trying to push Gohan, you know, to his very limit. So it's cool whenever, you know, that happens, even though Goten is infected, right? That's another good term for that I was trying to think. I don't know why I couldn't think of infection or possession, right? So yeah, it's an explosive wave. You guys know what it is. Obviously, it doesn't have to look like that, but yeah. Secondary full power charge again. I think that's fine. Insta Spark I think would be cool as well, but I feel like GT Goten, he's not that cool. I mean, he is very cool, don't get me wrong, but he's like not that powerful to where like they would add an Insta Spark. If they do, awesome, right? But you know, generally an Insta Spark is saved for like the you know, the higher upper echelon characters that are, you know, whooping your ass, right? So that shit, I feel like GT Goten, he just doesn't have that level. You know, he's not up on that level. He's got aura, but not that much. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's not out of the question. They could do something like that as well, and I'd be obviously stoked about it, okay? Oh, now these are fun, okay? These are actually specific that I actually created here. I just took them from the anime, okay? Couple of shots here. So, for his primary, I don't know what the fuck they would call it, Twin Energy Blast, he does this versus Gohan in their fight. He goes, ready, and he puts up both hands, get the 2 beams, right? They're just 2 blasts, right? Both hands, Energy Blast, and he throws them. Now, I recolored it to blue. It could be yellow. I don't fucking care. This is when he's infected by babies, so they were pink colored. Obviously, no, we're not doing no pink color on that shit because that would be, like, confusing. Like, what the fuck? No, this is just GT Goten, right? And again, it doesn't have to be exactly specific. Oh, this is from the anime, right? It's like, just use the animation. He's in Super Saiyan here. Boom, right? Change the color of it. You got it. Same animation, do it, and it looks awesome, okay? That would be awesome if he said the ready. Oh! All right, secondary, Super Goten Strike. That is the lamest fucking name, but it's an actual name on the wiki. It's not an official name, right? Maybe it is. I don't know. This right here is what he does when he's fighting Baby. He transforms, okay? Because he gets the, you know, injury, the cut, and Valise is on the phone with him, and she's like, hey, yo, did he get you? And then Goten's like, aw, shit, bro. I look like a poser. Man is a LARPer. That doesn't make any sense. See, this is what happens. You say LARPer, LARP, and I'm already not using it right, okay? But yeah, my man Goten was kind of embarrassed. I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't be embarrassed. I got cut. Okay, big deal. Move the fuck on. But it's Goten. So Goten's got to be the macho man in GT for whatever reason. He's like, oh, no, man. It's just a scratch. Don't worry about it. You know, he hangs up. He's smiling and shit. And then he gets pissed off, bro. He goes, that shit was embarrassing. Fuck you. And he goes Super Saiyan. Okay? And then he goes, oh, consecutive energy blast volley to the ground. Okay? So he does that, and then at the very end, he does one giant, big, two-handed burst. Okay, this one giant key ball that he throws down, and it fucking blows up the city. This dumbass was like, oh, you come to our turf, and you try to, you know, harm people and stuff, that's unacceptable. And then he fucking just kills everyone himself. So, Goten and Gohan are just fucking stupid. They're just dumb. They always do that shit. Gohan goes, oh, you come to the city, and you destroy our people and stuff. Whenever in the what was it, the god damn it, Wrath of Dragon movie, okay, when he's fighting Hirudegan, and he's in the Saiyan outfit, and then he goes, ah! And then he charges up and he goes ultimate form, and then he fucking blasts. Just that charge up itself just completely erases, it eradicates the buildings and everything around him. So he like, what the fuck, bro? I mean, it's Dragon Ball, so there's no logic in it, but it's just funny as fuck whenever they always say like, oh, like you come to terrorize our planet and stuff, and then what do? They just fucking terrorize the planet themselves. So yeah, it's called Super Goten Strike. Rush attack into consecutive blast, right? Now this is the one that's the coolest one, okay? I got inspiration from Dokkan Battle, so shout out to Dokkan Battle, because Dokkan Battle is one of the few games that actually gives Goten and Gohan, the GT variants, some love. They made a whole ass LR baby-infected GT Gohan and Goten. One of the coolest fucking units ever of all time. I'm biased as hell. You already know it, right? Why did my hands smell like strawberries? That's weird. I was like, I kept smelling something. I was like, what? Something smelled like strawberries. That was weird. Whatever. Well, I might... Oh my god, dude. You guys know, right? You guys know how I am in videos. All right, Shadows of Two Brothers, actually the name of the move. This would be the fucking coolest ultimate attack, okay? So we would have, obviously, this one is when they're infected, so they look very sinister and evil and shit, but they can make it not look like that and have them just kind of be teaming up to defeat the opponent. This is where they make, like, a cyclone, tornado, barrier, almost like, I don't even know, it's a weird thing. They're fighting Vegeta, right? GT Vegeta. And they both team up and they spin around him so much to the point where Vegeta's like, he doesn't know like where, you know, where to blast or where to hit them, right? So this is a cool technique to kind of throw them off, right? Any opponent that you're fighting in a way, but I mean, obviously in this, this is just the animation. So it would have both of them come in, right? They're both in Super Saiyan. They rotate around the character, and then they both blast them, right? Easy, simple. It's a very simple thing that they could do. Even the animation itself, it doesn't even really have, like, you're not seeing Goten and Gohan, like, actually, like, present there spinning around. I mean, initially it'll look like that, but it will kind of transition into just, like, a barrier that looks like this, where it has, like, that red and white color or whatever, and they'll just blast them from the inside. So, yeah, that would be so fucking cool, man. And again, lots of inspiration, not only from Dokkan, but from the trailers that we got in Sparking Zero as well. Okay, GT Trunks, for example, he's got, I guess, I'm assuming it's GT Trunks. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's him. It looks like he's got a technique, the Super Saiyan variant, where I think GT Vegeta will come in, okay? That could be a GT Vegeta to attack, but I don't think so. I think GT Vegeta still has, like, fucking Final Shine or whatever, okay? But we'll see. It remains to be seen whenever that actually comes out. So, yeah, that is my GT Goten prediction video for how they would do the moveset. Now, they're probably not going to add him, okay? Honestly, like, I have hope, but at the same time, it's like, I don't have hope, because I feel like they just hate this fucking character for whatever. And sorry, I don't even want to say they hate this character. They just don't even care. Like, I think that's what it is for a lot of these games. They just see GT Goten as just, like, another just, like, basic-ass character that doesn't have the material that they're looking for to sell a character. But it's crazy how much motion GT Goten actually has. You'd be surprised how much GT Goten, you know, is wanted in these games, right? I didn't know it until more recently, okay? I thought I was kind of like, maybe there was a few people, and I thought I was like kind of like the main person that was like pushing for it this whole time. But no, there are a lot of people pushing for it, right? And you know why? Because he's fucking awesome, dude. He genuinely is really cool. But yeah, y'all let me know your thoughts and opinions. Would you actually want GT Goten in the game as a playable character? Now, keep in mind, this would take up one of the slots. Or sorry, it would take up at minimum 2 slots. So be honest. I want you to be genuinely honest. Would you actually want this character playable, or would you rather have someone else? And my feelings aren't going to be hurt, bro. I really don't care. At the end of the day, I mean, I do care. It would be awesome if we got this character. But at the end of the day, if we don't, I'm not going to be, like, upset and cry over it. Like, it's whatever. We're getting so much good shit in this game, right? Like, more than anything that I could have expected. So I'm satisfied either way. But it would be really cool to finally get this guy playable in a fighting game.
This is Broly, and you are watching SLOplays. Make sure to subscribe, or else I'll destroy your entire planet.